Zendaya has been praised for her looks for a long time now. There's something about her that makes her look striking and kind of unique, since she has a youthful, neotonous look, but still that powerful and majestic impression, which has definitely proved itself in the roles she gets casted to play. In Euphoria and in Spider-Man she is cast as a teenager, but with a very distinctively independent personality, which seemed to align completely with her appearance. So in this video we will break down Zendaya's facial features to find out what actually makes her so attractive. Well, first of all, she has a very symmetrical face which contributes to her looks. One of the pillars of facial attractiveness is symmetry. Multiple studies have concluded that this is one of the things that make us deem a face attractive, as this study by Gillian Rhodes, that basically states that the trinity of symmetry, averageness, and sexual dimorphism are very good biological indicators of facial attractiveness across different cultures. Basically meaning that regardless of the beauty standards in a specific place or time, which obviously vary a lot, these three factors usually play a role. I have made a video on Hoyeon-jung in the past, and exactly like Zendaya, she also has a distinctively symmetrical face. In the Hoyeon-jung video I discussed something that is worth repeating again. It can be worth addressing how different hairstyles can work differently depending on how symmetrical your face is. Since Zendaya is so symmetrical, her middle parted hairstyle suits her very well. Since in general, a center part will highlight the angularity of your face, but it will also be less forgiving of any asymmetry. And as we just covered, this is not a concern for Zendaya. Zendaya is known for having different hairstyles, and she can rock the middle parted hairstyle, the more natural curly one, or a side parted one, which actually works to bring some softness to her otherwise angular face. You might even notice this difference when comparing her in these pictures. So let's move on to analyze Zendaya's facial features from the top down. Zendaya has a quite low hairline. Her upper third of the face is only 30% of her total facial height, with the average being around 35 to 40% for females. A lower hairline is in general a neotonous trait, since hair density and lack of regression is an indicator of youth. And this is more the case with men though, since most females doesn't experience the same kind of hairline recession with age. Although higher hairlines can still look youthful in women, in general a lower one will make the face appear more feminine and youthful. As Zendaya's hairline is not only low, it is also quite narrow. In general, most faces rated very high in attractiveness are seen with a more similar width to the hairline as to the face in itself, with the measurements of the hairline width being 80 to 85% of the width of the middle of the face, even up to 90% in certain cases. For Zendaya, her bitemporal width is narrow, with it only being 68% of her facial width. But the narrow hairline obviously works well in her case, as it adds a unique look and doesn't significantly reduce Zendaya's overall facial attractiveness, mainly due to her other strong features. One of Zendaya's most notable facial features is her face shape. Similar to Hoyeon-jung, she has a shorter and quite wide face with a very high facial width to height ratio at 2.16, with the average being 1.83 for females. This is another feature that in general could be regarded as more masculine, adding to the boyish look of Zendaya. The science on this basically states that a wider face is more common in males, but the difference between the sexes is not as big as in other dimorphic differences, like height or voice pitch. Another interesting key thing they noted was that the eyebrows placement played a huge factor in this too, but not only regarding the masculine or feminine question, but also regarding perceived aggression and dominance. Quote, "A low brow position may be an important factor in raters' perceptions of aggressiveness, fighting ability, masculinity, dominance, and threat in those with high facial width to height ratios." Research on emotion attribution from facial features has shown that lower placed eyebrows are more perceived as threatening and aggressive regardless of the facial expression, and that raters have greater anger recognition accuracy for high facial width to height ratios, and greater fear accuracy for low facial width to height ratio faces. So basically the eyebrows makes a large difference in trait perception. Zendaya has a high facial width to height ratio with medium set brows. A high facial width to height ratio with very low set brows will look way different, and according to the study make a face be perceived as more aggressive. So Zendaya has high facial width, but like Hoyeon Jung, she doesn't have low set eyebrows, which keeps her from looking too masculine or dominant, sort of balancing out the effect of perceived aggression in her harmony. Also similar to Hoyeon, she has a mix of juvenile and dimorphic features that align very well with Western ideals. These ideals include wider faces with traditionally more masculinizing facial proportions. This includes a larger jaw width as well as stronger dentofacial growth, leading to wide, prominent cheekbones. Zendaya fits the part of these Western beauty standards, with her jaw width being approximately 90% of her total facial width. Her lower third height is a bit over that 1/3 mark and gives her the strong jaw effect. Another thing to look at when addressing the lower jaw is the angle of the jaw from the front. As we know, the jaw angle should not be too steep nor too flat, since that could indicate malocclusion, a higher than ideal gonial angle, or any other dentofacial deformity. It could also indicate a longer than ideal face shape if too sharp, or a square face shape. Zendaya perfectly fits that bill with a 98-degree angle of the jaw, looking ideal. When it comes to the eye area, we can start by looking at this study by Zhao and Moore that tried to find the most attractive different combinations of eye shapes together with eyebrows. To summarize, they found 2 different variations that rated higher in attractiveness. They did this by geometrically modeling different combinations of eyes and eyebrows to find the most attractive ones. So which 2 rated higher than the others? Well, one was low bending eyebrows with large eyes and longer face, and the other one was high bending eyebrows with small eyes and round face. This second alternative seemed to align very well with the eye and eyebrow shape of Zendaya. To move on, we can also take a look at the IPD, which is the distance between the eyes. In a study by Palette and Moore, they covered IPD and found that the most attractive eye separation ratio was about 46% of total facial width. Not shockingly, neither too close set nor too wide set eyes. Zendaya has an ideal eye separation ratio of 45.2%. Another way to check harmonious eye distance is through checking if the eyes are one eye apart from each other. This is not really the case for Zendaya, but like we already covered, she has a wider face shape, so that's not really surprising. Let's go on to analyze Zendaya's side profile. Most of her crucial side profile assessments are within the normal or ideal range. Her nose shape from the side is harmonious as it's feminine with a slightly upturned nose. Lower nasolabial angles near 90 degrees produce more masculine profiles, but at the same time, nasolabial angle that is too high is unaesthetic and can appear too upturned in the frontal view, which is far from ideal as well. Her jaw seen from the side, or her gonial angle as it's called, has a quite steep angle at 121 degrees. In general, this kind of steep lower gonial angles are preferred as they prove a well dentofacial development, and they produce sharper, less rounded jaws. However, lower is only better to an extent, especially for female faces, since lower gonial angles are, in general, perceived as more masculine. However, this is also, of course, depending on other parts of the face, as the chin and overall harmony. I would say that lower gonial angle is ideal as long as it isn't paired with a too prominent chin. As we previously stated, facial traits that in general are conceived as more masculine are oftentimes well aligned with the beauty standard for females in the West, whereas in perhaps Southeast Asia they tend to gravitate more towards softer features for females. The gonial angle of Zendaya is similar to the likes of Margot Robbie and Angelina Jolie, who many people would put in the epicenter of what represents beauty standards in the West. If we move on to take a look at Zendaya's mouth area, we can first state that it adds a really youthful and feminine harmony to her otherwise quite sharp lower third. Her upper/lower lip ratio is ideal, with her lower lip being about 1.75 times longer vertically than the upper lip, which is just in the middle of the ratio of what's generally perceived as most attractive according to studies. She also has a prominent cupid's bow, which is the little fold of the upper lip, which adds aesthetic. Lastly, we will cover the nose. Her nose also maintains a harmonious ratio relative to her mouth. It's said that it's ideal when the mouth is a bit wider than the nose, which is the case for Zendaya, but this ratio will vary a bit between races. Zendaya is obviously mixed, with her nose being a little bit wider than, for example, some Caucasians. She has a slightly upped her nose, which we already covered, and it looks harmonious both in the side profile as well as from the front. And that was it, thanks for watching and goodbye!